Hey guys, it's Thomas from NurseMoneyTalk, and in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a question that I got, which essentially boils down to this. Do nurses actually use stethoscopes? But before I get to that though, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I want to go ahead and invite you to subscribe. In this channel, we pretty much talk about all things nurses, nursing students, and whatnot. And also make sure you stay till the very end because I'm gonna give you a link to that you can go to if you actually have a question that you would like me to either answer either in a blog post or answer in, that might actually end up being answered in a YouTube video, kind of like this one. So let's actually get down to the question. So this question, which has to do with if nurses actually use stethoscopes, I think actually stemmed from like an old clip of a video. I think it had to do with some talk show that I think was called like The View or something like that. And in that particular episode, I think from what I understand, like one of the hosts, after watching like some monologue, I think it was like a nurse that had a stethoscope around their neck or something like that. They were doing like a monologue. One of the hosts ended up making a statement of, why does she have a doctor's stethoscope? Giving a kind of like a false impression that doctors are the only healthcare workers that use stethoscopes. When in fact, like nurses also use stethoscopes, and even like doctors and nurses are not actually the only healthcare workers by any means that use stethoscopes. Another one that immediately comes to my mind are like respiratory therapists, but and that's not even getting into your PAs and NPs of the world. But all that aside, I think it's important that I actually take time to actually talk about that a little bit, because like if you are a nurse and you're watching this, I know that you might be thinking to yourself, why is he making a video about this? Like it's obvious, everybody, it's obvious that nurses use stethoscopes. But the thing that if you are a nurse or a healthcare worker and you're watching this, thing to keep in mind is that you have inside information that not everybody else has, especially if you've never really taken, like ever really had to go to the hospital, or if you've never been hospitalized or anything like that, and the only visits you ever have made really in terms of healthcare related has been to see a primary care physician, primary care, maybe even primary care and NP or PA or whatever, then it's understandable why, it's understandable then to see how somebody might not know this information. All that aside to say, yes, nurses do use stethoscopes to do a myriad of things. Like the four big ones that I'm gonna mention are, of course, listen to lung sounds, heart sounds, bowel sounds as well. And then one of which that is still, I think, depending where you're at, kind of commonly used, but I feel like it's being less and less so used depending on where you're at, is using a stethoscope to actually do a manual blood pressure. Those are what I want to say, probably like the four main or big things, I guess you should say, that you're typically gonna see nurses or even any healthcare worker probably use a stethoscope for. And just that if you are a healthcare worker and there's some others you want to add, then feel free to do that in the comment sections below. Next quick question I'm actually gonna add on to that is, how often do nurses actually use a stethoscope? This is actually not an easy question to answer per se, because it ranges from never all the way to like often, like multiple times a shift. And of course, this is assuming after nursing school. But and the reason for that is because when you say nurses, and part of the beauty of why I love nursing so much is that there's a lot of options everywhere. And so there's a lot of nurses, yes, registered nurses, who, might not do like direct patient care anymore. So like I'm thinking immediately comes to my mind is like like case management, probably like the profession that the nursing specialty that immediately that I think of. And then you have like, of course, the nursing specialties that you're going to be using a stethoscope a lot. So I'm thinking like the ICUs, your ERs. And then you'll have like your specialties like in between where you're probably not using it or might not be using it as much or sparingly. So maybe like if you do like GI or endoscopy nurse, depending on kind of like your scope of what nurses do in your particular facility, or even when I worked as a psych nurse as well, that was also used sparingly depending on the facility that I was at, and also depending on my patient population. So, so how healthy were they? Was I doing like gero psych, or was I doing more pediatric psych as well? So I think the point of that being that you'll see a broad range in terms of like how often nurses are going to use a stethoscope. I think ranging from like if they're dealing with like low acuity, or so pretty much they're dealing with no patients at all. And then if you're moving from low acuity, mid acuity, or medium level of acuity, and of course like your high acuity patients, I think it's probably fair to say that you'll see probably like an increasing usage of a stethoscope based on that as well. So that's pretty much all I've got for this question. If you have a question that you would like to see me answer, then I'll put the description below, but you can go to nursemoneytalk.com/ask. And then you'll see the box there with the question guidelines and whatnot. And then you can, submit your question and possibly get your question answered either here on the YouTube channel or on the blog post. Also, as a last note, if you're not a nurse and you've been thinking about going to nursing school, make sure to check out nursemoneytalk.com/schools to start searching for nursing programs that you can potentially sign up, enroll in, or if nothing else, talk to an academic advisor and then see if that's the best route for you. I also have, of course, some helpful resources and information that you can use to explore nursing more, either on the blog at nursemoneytalk.com or on this YouTube channel, which you'll see some videos that'll show up over here that will hopefully help you explore that some more if that is something that you are interested in. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you very soon in that next video.